It seems like it. There's a flight to safety. There's a flight to cash. The market is kind of brutal when companies miss. We see with Zoom, we're seeing with Best Buy. But even when they don't miss, it's also brutal when they're looking for a pop. So, Scott, I think you're absolutely right that there's this bifurcated market, people that want to stay invested, but they want to stay invested in safety. So that's your Apple, that's your Microsoft, and others where they've perhaps done very well, they're looking for the exit because they're unsure how the rate cycle is going to play out. We're seeing another large move in 10-year yields today, and if we see it tomorrow, then I think you've got to have more essentially stability in the market if we're to rally through the end. But right now, it looks like 10-year wants to go a 1.75 yield, and that can be problematic if it gets there as quickly as we're seeing.
Yeah, that's going to do no favor to those high growth, high valuation stocks. Let's talk oil prices. They're higher today, despite President Biden announcing the U.S. will release oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Brian Sullivan explaining why for us. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, I mean, listen, the market cataloged this. I saw you had Halima Croft on earlier. No one knows more than she is. I'll just ride on her coattails, which is basically everyone knew this was coming. The price of oil did drop about $8 a barrel heading into it. Buy the rumors, sell the facts. So the president may have gotten his decline, but it just came on the front end. Of course, energy is actually the best performing stock sector today, the best performing stock sector this week, because this release, while the biggest ever done at one time, and also, by the way, the only one ever done in a non-emergency or storm type situation, was maybe a little bit smaller than some traders thought. Remember, really, the SPR draw is going to be about 1 million barrels a day when it happens. So it kind of trickles out into the market. We'll see if OPEC, certainly, guys, reacts as well. But overall, we saw oil prices rise. We saw gas prices rise. And actually, Scott, I would sort of have a question for you to talk about in the market zone, which is, and maybe you think it's been a long day for me, whatever. I think this move in yields and inflation has something to do with the SPR release. You think about the fact if oil stops going up and that caps inflationary expectations, that could change the real yield situation. Actually, we saw inflation turn and real yields turn at the same time. And I'm telling you, I do wonder if some of the interest rate move was actually related to the SPR release, or maybe it's just a 12-hour day and this isn't milk in my coffee. Who knows? I
don't know. We'll see what happens in the days ahead, whether that is the case. Weiss, Brian mentions the move in energy. It's whether it's this week or this month, energy is the best performing this year, as far as I can remember. Is that a place you still want to bet on?
No, and actually, I sold my Chevron last week, but here's where I think it gets interesting in energy. With Russia massing on the border of the Ukraine and the Ukraine having very large natural gas reserves and the U.S. not being in a position basically to do anything to stop them, you could see a monster move in nat gas and energy overall. And I don't think the market's looking at that yet broadly, but I do think that that's why there's a bid under the commodity. So, look, I always think that you rent energy stocks, you don't own it for the long term because it's like any other commodity. Ultimately, high prices bring on more supply. I don't think it'll be any different this time.